Welcome back, folks. It's another episode of It's About Payroll. Amazing guest with us today. But before we get into the guest, how you doing, Walt?
Excited. Happy Friday to everybody. I'm just excited to talk to our esteemed, highly intelligent guest today. Looking forward to it. Brian, but how about you?
Doing good. Before we get into it, I always want to share a little tidbit. This week, I want to share a little financial fitness tidbit for payroll folks that stood out to me. And this is a great way that payroll folks can help save money. We're not just a cost center. We can actually help the businesses save money. And one of those ways is on the new hire setup. And a lot of money is saved there because errors in the pay group, the tax location, the deductions, the salary, exemption status, or direct deposit can cause expensive corrections later. And the takeaway is the cheapest payroll ever is the one you prevent during employee setup. Let me say that again. The cheapest payroll error is the one you prevent during employee setup. Walt, you want to introduce Jim for us today?
Yes, absolutely. Today, we're tackling a topic that impacts every employer, every employee, and frankly, every paycheck in America. Benefits, right? So as healthcare costs continue to rise, employers are struggling to balance affordability with attracting and retaining talent. Employees are demanding more value, more flexibility, and more transparency than ever before. Meanwhile, payroll professionals are often caught in the middle, helping administer benefits while answering the tough questions employees have about what they're paying for and what they're actually getting. To help us navigate this rapidly changing landscape, we're joined by a true expert and pioneer in employee benefits and healthcare solutions. Our guest today is Jim O'Connor, president and founder of Premier Health USA. Jim has spent decades helping employers and employees understand healthcare, benefit strategy, and alternative health plan solutions. He is also an expert on the Affordable Care Act and has dedicated his career to finding innovative ways to make benefits more affordable and accessible for businesses and employees alike. Welcome to the show, Jim O'Connor.
Happy
Thanks,
to be here.
Jim.
Great to be here, Walt, Brian. Great to be with you guys. I've enjoyed your show and
Thank
your
you.
prior episodes, and honored to be here.
We appreciate that. We were talking about the Knicks before we started recording. You could see that Walt kind of thought he was at the Garden introducing you as a player. I was like, oh, I got a jump there, right?
I felt like coming out and doing some high
That's what I'm
fives.
saying. Yeah, I was like,
I
oh,
need it.
yeah. He gave us Garden feels there. I love it.
Yeah,
Jim, before we get it started, any questions? How did you get into this business?
Oh boy, by accident. To be honest with you.
Payroll people, except Walt, he picked it.
Yeah. No, back in the mid '80s, I was at a company in the shipping industry, and
Oh wow.
enjoyed it. But circumstances were such that company went Chapter 11. And so we all got laid off, and I went to a headhunter and was looking at different opportunities, and getting into the group insurance business seemed to be an interesting industry for me. I was never one that was going to be oriented towards selling individual insurance products. It's a really important role for that in our country, and insurance products are very important. But I was more of a B2B person as opposed to a B2C person.
Yeah.
And so I started as a group insurance rep at Prudential back when Prudential was in health insurance in the 80s. And any old timers listening to this podcast will know what I'm talking about, that Pru and Met and Travelers and all those old line insurance companies used to be in health insurance. But then the wave of managed care and HMOs, pushed them out. But Brian, that's how I got in. It was basically going to a headhunter and getting a new job back in 1987.
Wow.
All right, awesome. Thank you for sharing your start. So I'm going to jump right into it, Jim. If you had to give every American employee a benefit system, well, let me restate that. If you had to give a letter grade for America's current benefit system, what grade would you give and why?
I'd probably give it a D.
Oh gosh, a D.
Please
I'd
tell us
probably
why.
give it
Holy
a D.
moly.
There are some students in the classroom that might deserve a C, but overall, I'd say that the class on a curve is running at a D in terms
Wow.
of the health benefits system, and put air quotes around that word system because there's very much not a system,
Yeah.
but the
Agreed.
health benefits business in America today.
Mhm. Wow. Well,
And so your next question is probably why? Why am I giving it such a low grade?
Yes, yes,
Right?
yes,
yes.
yes,
Tell us why.
please.
Yeah. So when you think about it, right, what is the function of a health benefit program? Well, it's to give people access to affordable health care where they're not going to go bankrupt. They're not going to be exposed to possibly losing their home. They're not making decisions between getting medication for their kids or putting food on the table, right? They're not avoiding going to the doctor. They're not splitting pills in half or not getting
Wow. Yeah.
refills, right? And that is what happens in our country today. And
Yep.
so while you made a comment about benefits for the purposes of helping attract and retain talent, right? And so what has happened is benefit plans today, we haven't solved the hyperinflation problem, right? Health insurance costs have been going up at double digits for my entire 40-year career, right? And they still are, right? But back in the day, I was telling people, hey, a single rate is under $100 and a family rate's less than $300 for a comprehensive medical plan, right? But yet back then we were saying health insurance average trend is 12, 14% increase. And it was good news if you got a 7 or 8% increase. Well, you know what? We're telling that same story today,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
but insurance premiums are $800 for a single,
Yep.
$2,500 for a
Family.
family.
Yes.
And so like the D is because costs have gone uncontrollably through the roof. And then what happens is employers that are making the buying decisions, the way for them to kind of keep their purchase in a budgetable range, they got to raise deductibles, cut benefits, take more out of people's paychecks. So it's an unaffordable, unsustainable rising cost.
Yep.
We're cutting benefits and we're taking more out of people's paychecks. And it's a D at best. It's a D at best.
Wow. Thanks for sharing that. That makes a lot of sense. What's the biggest misconception employers have about employee benefits right now? What are the employers getting wrong about the benefits?
I'd say that the biggest thing they're getting wrong is that they think their only options are the traditional health insurance carriers, right? When I started, there was 15, 16, 20 different insurance carriers that were in the health insurance business. So you got a lot of choice. Now there's essentially 4. You boil it down.
Yep.
There's United, there's Cigna, there's Aetna, and there's Blue Cross,
Yep.
right? And that's, you got Kaiser in California and a few other markets, but fundamentally you're down to 4, right? So anytime that you eliminate choice and put dominant market share in so few hands, right? You're going to lose innovation. You're going to lose opportunity to do things better. So the biggest mistake that employers are making is to just sit on their hands and think that their only options are to stay on this insurance carrier hamster wheel, right? And just shop it like a commodity. Okay, I'm going to go from Blue Cross to Aetna, then I'm going to go from Aetna to Cigna, and then I'm going to repeat the same cycle with the same big 4.
Right.
So that's
Every
one of
year.
the biggest errors that employers are making, is to think that they have only these few options when in fact there are other choices.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. So there are more choices than that, but
There really are. So a couple different areas to come at that from. And we're talking mostly the SMB market, right? Like for large employers, they typically have a lot more choices and options. But as you come down to employers with less than 500, less than 200, less than 100 employees, right? They tend to just always still been thinking about the traditional fully insured insurance carriers, right? Well, believe it or not, in the last decades, and certainly within the last 10 years, the fastest growing type of health insurance plan in America are employers moving from traditional fully insured plan to what we'll call as hybrid self-insured plans or partially self-insured plans. You'll also hear them called level funded plans. And so what these is they look and feel to an employer like a regular insurance plan, in that every month they're going to pay a single rate, a husband and wife rate, a parent-child rate, a family rate. Difference is that they're technically self-insured, and at the end of the year, if claims run better than expected or better than the maximum liability, that employer is going to get that money back at the end of the year.
Does work feel like a show lately? That's because it is. Everything's changing. Jobs, skills, tech, expectations, and somehow you're just supposed to keep up and stay positive and not forget to fill out your 47th engagement survey. I'm Rachel Bourne, host of The Shift Show, where we stop pretending work makes sense and we start figuring out how to thrive in the middle of this madness. No fluff, no buzzwords, just real talk about AI, leadership, burnout, and what the hell is actually happening at work. If you've ever thought, is it just me or did things just get weird? It's not you. It's all of us. Listen to The Shift Show wherever you find your podcasts. Find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, or theshiftshow.net.
So think about this, right? You're in a traditional insurance carrier plan. All you're doing is paying premium, and everybody gets told, hey, use generic drugs instead of brand drugs because it's less expensive. Go to the urgent care.
Don't go to,
it's less
exactly.
expensive.
Yes.
Right. But none of that matters because the insurance carrier keeps all the money and they're just going to jack up your premiums, at their whim. When you're in these partially self-insured or level funded plans, you now as the employer have the opportunity to get money back at the end of the year, your money. So now when you're teaching your employees, ladies and gentlemen, instead of going to get that elective MRI at the brick and mortar hospital where they're going to charge $6,000 to the health plan, go to the freestanding facility, in town for $800.
Oh my goodness.
Right? Now that matters. Place of service matters. But when you're in a traditionally insured plan with a carrier, you have no skin in the game.
Yep.
Now, when you're in these level funded plans, these partially self-insured plans, and as I'm coaching you as an employer, literally get your employees to understand, to be thoughtful about get generics instead of brand, use telehealth instead of urgent care, instead of ER for non-emergency things. Go to the freestanding facility for an MRI or an X-ray instead of at the expensive hospital. Now all this matters because if we can get money back at the end of the year, unspent money, who doesn't want that? Who wouldn't like to get money back? If I'm a safe driver and I don't have accidents or tickets, Allstate advertises they're going to give you money back, right? If you have a workers' comp plan where everybody's being safe in the workplace and you have no injuries, right, you can get money back. Well, let's apply that same type of thinking to health insurance. And now, instead of employees just ignoring you at open enrollment and throughout the year when they get these emails and these feel-good messages about being thoughtful, now it can matter. Imagine this, Walt. Imagine this. Imagine a year from now, you're standing in front of a room of employees and you're saying, ladies and gentlemen, we got money back from our plan last year because we together were all thoughtful about where we got our care and where we were getting services rendered and how we were using the plan. So ladies and gentlemen, guess what? No payroll deduction for the next 2 months.
Awesome. And that's what I was going to say. Like, if you can give it back to the employees, right? You incentivize them to do these things, then you there's some winning there. That's awesome.
So Brian, to bring it back to the question you asked me, right? What's the misconception? What are the mistake employers are making is they're not being open. They're keeping their mind closed to just the traditional big four health insurance companies, right? And they're not getting themselves open-minded to an alternative way to buy. Everybody's mad, but sometimes they don't turn that mad into positive action. They just stay mad, and then it's just wash, rinse, repeat, and they throw their hands up and just give in. Stop giving in. Your broker, your benefit advisor can show you these alternatives, such as what my company does and others in my space that can bring high quality alternatives to the employer marketplace if they would keep their eyes open.
You dropped a boatload of nuggets there. I have so many questions. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I want to switch to the employee's perspective here.
Yep.
Right. So what are employees asking today that they weren't asking 5 years ago?
Oh, that's a good one.
You know, it is a good question, but I think my answer may surprise you. I don't think they're asking anything different today than they were 5 years ago.
Wow.
They're saying, hey, I want a health plan I can use, that I can afford, that's not crushing me out of my paycheck, right? Sure, I'd like a 401k. Sure, I'd like quality PTO. Sure, I'd like, a good work environment. But as we're just kind of staying in the healthcare lane and some of the things related to the healthcare lane, right? It's the same desire today as it was 40 years ago. I want something my family can use, that we can afford, right? That provides me for when I need it. And that's why we go back to today we're a D, because we haven't solved this. And so it's the same. I'm sure that there are other people that would answer this question with some very sophisticated answer about, Gen X versus Gen Z, which is, I don't even know what gen we're in anymore, right? But I'm a baby boomer. That's what I know. But you know what else? I will give you one thought though, Walt. Keep moving away from that core. You know what else is interesting is in the payroll space, we're seeing now the paycheck being kind of the center of the wheel of the opportunity for employees to buy additional services, whether it be insurance product or vacations, or even regular products that we buy in our day-to-day life. I'll give you an example. I do business with an incredible company called Benefits Me, and they have an online store with over 70,000 people. And I'm probably not supposed to talk about specific companies or this be a commercial, right? I apologize.
No, you're fine.
No, you're good.
You're fine.
But,
we're not exclusive to anybody.
But this Benefits Me company is amazing in that people can buy like refrigerators, washers and dryers, tires,
Wow.
products from Best Buy, Ashley Furniture, and they could do it on a payroll deduction basis, interest free. So think about folks making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. They might be doing this. They need a new refrigerator because it's broken. Their tires are bald and they can't get to work. So what do? They got to go to a payday loan or high interest credit card, or maybe if it's furniture, they do rent to own. So this way they can buy it interest free and spread it out over 26 pays on a payroll deduction basis. Think about you as a payroll company bringing that to your customers, right? Think about that in your audience as they're thinking about as a payroll company, what other value can I be adding? What other value can I bring to my customers to help them attract and retain talent? Brian opened up by saying, it's almost like my thinking was the Knicks game, right? You don't want to see the referee. Like the best referee is the one you never hear about, right?
Real.
The best payroll is one you never hear about. It's just
That's
like
right.
everything works fine.
There
So
we
now
go.
what can we do to enhance that relationship with the employer and by extension, their employees? So giving them access to purchasing programs like this can be a really valuable addition to a benefits plan.
Love it.
Wow.
Love it.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So
So in line with that, are there any benefits that employees consistently undervalue until they actually need them?
great question, right? We kind of tell a joke in the health insurance business that people don't really know what health insurance costs until they leave their company and go on Cobra.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see the total cost.
Yes.
And they don't know what their benefit is until they're in the emergency room and,
That's right.
and they need. But so I think they appreciate the value of health benefits, but they don't spend enough time understanding kind of how to navigate it properly. I will tell you though, also, Brian, the other thing that employees don't value well enough is things like when the employer provides them opportunities to buy disability insurance
Mhm.
or life insurance,
Yep.
right? Or some of these supplemental policies. God bless Aflac for all of their advertising. As much as people might think they can be annoying or a little bit too much, they are putting a spotlight on the fact that through the workplace, the ability to buy at a low cost, easy payment, payroll deduction basis, some of these other coverages that can be very important in your life. If you pass away and your family's got some final expenses that have to be paid, or you get disabled, so you lose your paycheck, a disability policy can be there for you. So So I think these other benefits are things that get undervalued, underappreciated by employees. And so the more thoughtful employers, and again, they're partners like payroll companies that have the face of the employee every twice a week when they're getting the paychecks, promoting, educating, letting people know about the value products that are out there can be very, very opportunistic.
Yeah, that's great, Joe. So my next question for you is, I guess from the business standpoint, what are, in your experience, what are some of the biggest mistakes that businesses make when selecting their benefits?
Great question. So number one is they don't ask their employees what's important to them.
Yeah.
So employers should spend more time, more lead time,
Yep.
Engaging
So
with their
true.
employees out, just asking them, hey, what's important to you guys, right? And you don't make it like a democracy and whatever we vote for, we get, right?
Oh,
But you
yes.
are saying to your employees, hey, you're part of this spend. We want to make sure we're spending the money the right way. So let's make sure we're getting your input. So a mistake would be, and a way to correct it would be, engage the input of your employees with a lot more lead time as you're doing your benefit planning, you're doing your strategizing. The other thing that would be a mistake I think that they often do is they think benefits management is one time a year. It's the renewal and it's open enrollment. And it's managing a negative. They're just like, oh, let me get through this, let me put it to bed, right? As opposed to throughout the year, right, let's be educating, reminding our employees about the health benefit plan, different components of it and how to maximize its use, right? About the 401k and the match that they're getting, right? About these hidden benefits like an EAP that they forgot they had, right? So benefits communication, education, engagement throughout the year is another mistake that employers make is they see purchasing benefits, not everybody, right? The enlightened ones do this really well, but just as a general observation with businesses, right? They just see it as managing a negative. Let me put this thing to bed and not worry about it till next year, right? And so it's really should be an annual engagement process, and that gets overlooked.
Wow, thank you, Jim. That definitely resonates with me.
Yeah. And perfect segue because
You're tuning into the Careering with Cameron podcast, your safe place for asking all the dumb questions about finding a job. This is the place for you to get a clear, step-by-step roadmap for your career journey, including things you haven't even thought of. If you're a bright, data-driven individual in a STEM field who struggles with people skills, or you're just finishing college and wondering what's next, you are in the right place. My goal is to help you feel ready and empowered, not just apply for positions, but find work that truly aligns with your passions. I do what I do because I believe no one should have to navigate this alone. For 20 years, I was on the other side of the desk as a recruiter. I saw what worked, what didn't, and why. Now, as an ICF certified professional coach, I'm bringing the insight to help you, helping you think like a recruiter so you can land the job you want. Each week, I'll be bringing you actionable advice on everything from best practices for resume writing to what you could ask in your interview. Be sure to subscribe and rate 5 stars if you enjoy the podcast so others can too. Also, make sure to follow us over on Careering with Cameron and visit our website at www.talent-connect.net. See you October 15th, where episode 1 will be released to discuss the number 1 reason why you're not getting a job.
Is richer benefits still a competitive advantage for recruiting, or just being a more strategic employer so you're saving money and you can give people more money? You know what I mean? Like where do benefits help in that recruiting still because it's so hard and so expensive?
It does, right? Benefits, health and welfare benefits, retirement benefits, the whole scheme of benefits programming is a big part of attracting and retaining a talent. But I correlate 2 pieces you just said there, Brian, about just saving money versus richer benefits.
Yeah.
And it really, depending upon the industry and the culture of the company, will impact the definition of rich benefits versus affordable benefits. One way to look at it is, Mr. Employer, right? How much is budgetable for you? And now let's spend that the right way. I'll give you an analogy. You go into a restaurant and you have no intention of spending over $50. Where are you going to spend $50 on one expensive steak entree and that's it? Nothing comes with it? or might you get a fish or a chicken dish, and then a green vegetable, a potato starch, maybe dessert, a glass of wine, right? So for one person, just getting that steak and that steak alone is what they want for their company. But for the other person, they want the multiple pieces around that meal. So I don't know if this analogy is holding up, but my point is, it's not just about how much you're going to spend, it's what you're spending it on. And by talking to your employees, understanding the culture of your company, understanding why you're attracting people or losing people and how benefits play a role in that, can help guide you on how to spend the amount of money that you're budgeting to spend. And so richer benefits, of course, everybody wants better, right? Everybody wants more. Everybody wants a bigger house, better car, better clothes. But distill that down and say, which really makes sense for this company? And that's where you can engage with the employer, the employees. And again, I come back to the payroll, right? The payroll is just like this ecosystem that the employees are always going to, right? I'm being communicated with twice a month about what my pay is. So can we use this as a communications channel, the payroll company as the conduit to getting information out to the employees? Because oftentimes the benefits are a lot richer than employees realize. So just don't chase the spend. Make sure everybody understands the value in what they already have.
Wow. Jim, you're definitely giving me the goosebumps here, man. You're saying a lot.
It's funny. Well, we're going to say payroll companies, or we're really going to say broader, human capital technology companies, payroll of which is a component to it, right? And I think that the forward-thinking payroll companies of America, entrepreneurs and innovators and people that are really trying to, move the dial, processing payroll is just kind of the baseline, brushing your teeth, right? And let's get that right. Let's get that right every time. But there's so much more to it. If I'm that payroll company that can bring to my client and the employees this whole environment of communication and access to benefits, now I'm quote unquote so much more than just a payroll company, right? I am this entire human capital management technology company to that client.
Yes, Jim. And that's a perfect segue for my next question for you. So, what benefit trends should payroll leaders, this business leaders in general, be preparing for over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I think that a key trend I'm seeing is one, we kind of touched on it earlier, where the paycheck being that center of the wheel, right? Mm-hmm. And that if the paycheck can be the conduit, for, like I said, buying tires, buying furniture, maybe paying my mortgage directly on a payroll deduction basis, paying my student loan as it can happen now, right? So payroll leaders need to see what they have and also the data they have about their population and how to bring product into that population that makes sense. And then their technology ecosystem has to be able to administer that. The other thing that AI, of course, you can't have a conversation in any business today without talking about AI, right? So how do I apply AI going forward that doesn't replace human support? In some places it will, right? In some places it will. We all have to be honest with ourselves about that. But how does AI make the employee member experience better? How does AI help my staff in serving my clients more efficient and more effective, right? So that's a big part of the forward-looking thinking for all industries, but payroll certainly.
So talking about payroll people, that age-old question, how can payroll and benefit folks work together better?
That's a great question. They need to understand they're serving the same client for the same purpose. We're serving the employer who has employees, and the entire purpose that we both serve is to help them attract and retain the employees that will make them have a successful company. The benefits person or team is coming at it from that perspective. Payroll HR technology is the administrative platform upon which it all runs. So if we really get together more in a hand in glove way, right? Quality product, quality plan design, quality fiscal management of the benefit plans, combined with high quality administration and employee engagement, then we've got a home run. Because when you think about it, when we all look at everything we do, right? I always look at things as we break it down into three things. When we serve our employers, are we helping them financially spend the money the right way? Administratively, are we making their lives easier and more efficient? And three, are we enhancing the employee's experience? Right? Those are three things we do. Payroll company does it. Benefit companies like mine do it. So if we do it together, could that be a powerful combination?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
real
man, Jim.
awesome
So-
guidance and mentorship there, Jim. Thank you.
No, you called me
So-
a pioneer earlier. That's a polite way of saying I'm an old guy. in
No,
the business, Brian.
We
Just-
were
No,
just
no,
saying
no,
it
no.
about
Just calling you out.
ourselves.
Just calling you out, brother.
Right before you got on, we were just saying we're pioneers in payroll as
Okay.
well. So no. We
There's absolutely no slight in there at all.
trendsetter.
So-
Maybe that's a better word.
Yes, trendsetter.
Pioneer has a
Trendsetter.
old connotation, but it's not that.
Oh,
No.
I just love to be able to play with you. I just love to be able to play with you.
So, Jim, if we were to have this conversation again in 2030, let's say, about 4 or 5 years from now, what do you think will be dramatically different about employee benefits in America?
I think that we're moving much more into a individual employee choice environment. So there'll be more customization, personalization at the employee level. I think that is a direction that's definitely taking place. I believe that our conversation earlier about these partially self-insured plans and level funded plans where employers and employees can have a seat at the table and have a positive impact on the health costs inside of that company. That's clearly a growing trend that's going to be accelerated in the next 4 or 5 years. I think technology is clearly going to play a huge impact on the benefits landscape, whether, again, we talked about AI earlier, more and more self-service. So I think 5 years from now, but I also think with a little bit of pessimism that we're still going to be having the same conversation, that we haven't slayed the dragon in terms of rising healthcare costs. And I say this out of respect to those that serve our healthcare needs, the doctors and nurses and hospitals, but they also have a role to play, a responsibility in terms of what cost of care is for certain services. Why is an MRI $8,000 at a hospital versus $800 down the street at the freestanding facility, right? So health insurance premiums are a function of the cost of providing healthcare, right? And so from the provider side, the business side, the health insurance carrier side, legislative side, we need a more cohesive approach to it. So 5 years from now, Walt, I think that we're going to see a lot of exciting things happening from an innovation perspective that we've talked about here on this call already. But I do think that we're still going to be, a D might have become a C or a C plus. How's that?
Hey, we're trending up.
We're trending in the right direction. Absolutely.
So in terms of the future, to close it out, Jem, what gives you hope about benefits in America?
Hi, I'm Stephen Rothberg,
And I'm Jeanette Leeds.
and together we're the co-hosts of the High Volume Hiring Podcast.
Are you involved in hiring dozens or even hundreds of employees a year? If so, you know that the typical sourcing tools, tactics, and strategies, they just don't scale.
Yeah, our bi-weekly podcast features news, tips, case studies, and interviews with the world's leading experts about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to high volume hiring.
Make sure to subscribe today.
The innovators. And I don't say this just at you guys as shallow praise, but stuff like what you guys are doing, right? Running this podcast, putting a spotlight on maybe people and things that can improve the world, improve the future. So I see some young and not so young people with brilliant ideas making a difference. And my optimism for the future of this business is that those innovators, those disruptors, right, That's how we make improvement. That's how we make advances. And I just see a lot of it taking place in the benefits space. And so I'm really encouraged about the future of this business. I wish I was 20 years younger so I could be a part of it, but I do plan on spending the next 20, 25 years being a part of it. But boy,
Yeah, that's right.
to be a young person and part of the future of this business would be it's a great industry to be in.
I feel the same way. So I think that's just like the nature of it all. I'm like, wow, I was 20 years younger now. And my goodness. Yeah.
Jim, this is a great conversation. We definitely have to have you back on if you're open
for sure.
that.
Always welcome.
Definitely.
I enjoy you guys very much. Like I said, I enjoy watching and listening to you guys. And so I appreciate being on. It's been a great honor. And
Likewise.
just very pleased to have the conversation with you all.
Likewise. So before we conclude, we do like to play a game with our guests. It's called This or That. And so we ask you 6 different questions. You can choose one or the other, or neither or both. And so we're going to start it off. I'm going to go with the first 3, and then Brian's going to finish it off. All right. So would you rather, I guess, watch basketball game or a baseball game?
Basketball.
Okay. Excel or Google Sheets?
Excel.
Bon Jovi or Guns N' Roses?
Springsteen.
Oh, love it.
Okay.
That's right. Another
like
Jersey
that.
native.
I like that. All right, Brian.
Apple pie or pumpkin pie?
Oh, how about can I have a little slice of both? But if I had to pick one, I'd have to go pumpkin. But I try to get both onto my plate.
No doubt. That's how my wife can tell you. I'm all about the pies when it comes to the holidays, and I want them all. Teaching or being taught?
Oh gosh, I would honestly like to say like both. You gave that as a choice. Because anything
both.
I do, I love being taught. Like I take golf lessons, I take tennis lessons, I take ski lessons. I like anything I want to be taught by somebody that knows what they're doing.
Yes.
But then I do get a lot of joy out of teaching and kind of taking some of my experiences and helping folks learn from them. So yeah, both are important.
Love it. Better movie, Goodfellas or The Departed?
Oh, two good choices, but you got to go Goodfellas. You always got to go Goodfellas in that kind of choice.
My wife is a Departed fan. I like the Goodfellas one.
Yeah.
Jim,
Yeah.
Jim, this has been great. We would love for you to tell our listeners where they can connect with you and find out more about Premier Health USA.
Oh, thank you, Walt. Yeah, so Jim O'Connor, the email is joconnor@ph-usa.com. You can also find us on our website at www.premierhealth-usa.com. So you can find me and my team on the website or at my email address. So appreciate you allowing me to give that little plug, Walton.
Oh,
and Brian,
absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And before we go, folks, please like, share, follow, click and share, do all the things. Subscribe,
Yes.
tell a friend and tell a friend. Thank you, sir. And Jim, it's been quite an honor. Thank you so much. And I mean, we really appreciate you. We can tell that you like teaching. I mean, you were so efficient about your answers and really, really helpful and great information for us payroll folks. And before we let you go, folks, I'll give you a quick quote of the day. Every meaningful breakthrough in life begins with a long season of unnoticed work. Robin Sharma. So thank you, folks. We love you. Till the next time.
Thank you, guys.